Hey, this is Doug. Welcome to Backcountry Pilgrim, a channel all about hiking, camping, backpacking, and the gear that goes with it. It is 2022, and as a hiking YouTuber, I have done a lot of gear reviews over the last year. I've tried out a lot of different products, and I have made some decisions on what I'm going to keep and what I'm going to use going forward, and I thought that I would share that with you in this video. Alright, first let's look at backpacks. You might recognize this, the Granite Gear Drop 60, from previous videos that I did back in 2020 when I was looking for the perfect pack to take on the Camino de Santiago. Now at that time I found the pack to be a bit too warm in the back, and although I loved a lot of its features, especially how much you can modify it to suit different situations, I just didn't find it that comfortable, and I was kind of in the middle of looking for packs, so at the time that wasn't going to work for me. However, since that time I have come to appreciate more the lighter weight packs, and when this went on sale for $90 on drop.com, I couldn't resist giving it another try. So for the last year, this has been my primary full-size backpacking backpack. It can expand to 60 liters, and it also has a removable lid that can be used as a fanny pack, and it can cinch down to basically like a 10-liter pack. I've really enjoyed this, and so going forward, this is the pack that I use for my full-size backpacking trips. However, when I am in more of an ultra-light, ultra-compact, ultra-efficient mood, I am turning to the new Waymark THRU pack. This is a 40-liter pack that is fully framed, fully supported with suspension, and is brand new for 2022. I happened to get an early model of this from Waymark for review. I did that review, and I've got to tell you, this is one of the most comfortable packs I own. It has nothing that I don't need and everything that I do need. I've been extremely impressed with how well this pack rides, how well it packs, and if I can get to where I feel comfortable with an overnight loadout of 40 liters or less, this is the pack I'm going to be using. Part of my confidence in this pack comes from this pack. This is the Waymark MILE. This was a new pack in 2021. It is a smaller pack, it's about 28 liters, but this has been my go-to day pack ever since I got it back last summer. This is a frameless pack, and although it does not come with a hip belt, you can get a 1-inch webbing hip belt if you want to add it on. Further, not only does this hip belt remove, but it can be exchanged for another piece of gear that I'll show you in a few minutes. One of the things I love about the MILE pack that unfortunately didn't make it onto the THRU pack is this top pocket on the front. It's got two smaller dividers on the inside. I usually do my wallet over here, keys over here, sunglass case in the middle, maybe a couple other things, but I love having that access. The rest of the pack operates just like a pretty typical ultralight backpack. This has been incredibly comfortable. I love the fact that it's got the daisy chain on the shoulder straps. The water bottle front carry pocket is one of my favorite parts about this system. I use it all the time now. I just use the side pockets for other stuff. This has been a great pack, and the Waymark MILE is going to be my day pack going into 2022. All right, before moving on to the new shelter, let me talk about the other component of the big three, and that is my sleep system. I am still using my UGQ Bandit quilt, a Nemo Tensor sleeping pad, and one of those blow-up pillows. I don't remember the brand. However, I just ordered a Therm-A-Rest Neo Air Xlite. Part of the reason I got that is because it went on a crazy good sale on Amazon, $80 off. And if you are a subscriber to Backcountry Pilgrim, with that bell clicked so that you get updates, hopefully you saw my community message and maybe picked one up yourself. So I will be trying out the Therm-A-Rest Neo Air Xlite extra large sleeping pad for 2022. All right, let's talk shelters. For the last couple of years, I have been using a trekking pole tent, the 3F UL Gear Lanshan 2. You've probably heard of it. I've done a couple videos talking about it. It's been a great tent, but because I live in Northern California, there are a number of places where a trekking pole tent is just not optimal. There's so much granite up here in our mountains that many times you find yourself in a situation where you either want to set up on a granite slab or in decomposed granite, which is like sand, only compacts even worse and therefore does not hold stakes very well. So I decided that I was ready to look for something in a freestanding tent. And instead of getting one, I got two. The first is the Trail Lark one-person tent. This is a brand new company started by a couple of brothers who are dedicated to providing good hiking gear for those on a budget. This is not a super expensive tent. I'll put the price of it in the description below or up on the screen. But this is a one-person solo tent. Not exactly what I wanted, but I was really interested in checking it out and supporting these guys because I believe in their vision. It turned out to be a good little tent, emphasis on little. I personally like to use a two-person tent because I like to keep my gear as much as possible inside the tent with me, and I like to have a little bit more breathing room than you get with the Trail Lark. However, I have to say this thing is impressive. You get the entire tent, stakes, poles, everything, and the whole thing weighs in at about the same as my Lanshan 2 with my trekking poles. However, I did say that I was looking for a two-person tent, and that is why I picked up the Wilderness Technology Airlight. I got this on the backpacking gear flea market on Facebook. Steve Kammeyer was representing the company and selling these. This tent does not weigh a whole lot more than the Trail Lark, but it is a two-person size tent. Now, I have not got a chance to use this out in the backcountry yet. I have set it up, I've checked it out, it looks great. Once I get a couple nights in this, I will be doing a full review, but for now, this is probably going to be the tent that I use going into 2022. All right, now I mentioned when I talked about the Waymark MILE that there was another piece of gear that you could clip into the loops where the hip belt goes, and the thing I was talking about is this fanny pack from Hilltop Packs. This is a Dyneema roll top fanny pack. Pretty simple, not a whole lot to it, which is one of the reasons I like it. Not only is it waterproof, not only is it ultra light, but the straps that connect to it can be disengaged, and you can use the clips to put onto something like the Waymark MILE hip belt straps. And now you've got a hip belt that includes a big pocket. Now before I go on to some of my other Hilltop Pack bags that I will be using in 2022, I just want to give a shout out to Ben McMillan and the team at Hilltop Packs. When I first tried this fanny pack with my MILE, I noticed that it was kind of digging into my hips, and I realized that the reason was that the clip they were using had the pointy lever pointed down, and so as the pack sat on me, it was digging those points like spikes into my hips. So I told Ben about it. He said, let me check it out, and about a month later, I got a set of replacement straps in the mail, and guess what? Now the clips don't have that pointy part sticking down. So they have modified the straps that come with this fanny pack. It's more comfortable now, still works with the Waymark MILE and any other pack that uses that kind of strap system. Just super impressive customer service. If you have not checked out Hilltop Packs, check out the description below, click on that link. They make some great stuff. And here's two more pieces that I'm going to be using from Hilltop Packs in 2022. The first one is this dual compartment gadget bag. Looks like a typical little roll top kind of gadget bag, but on the inside are two full-length compartments. And this works super well for keeping something like batteries or battery chargers, battery packs on one side, and then the cables on the other. And this way you're not having to dig through all of that stuff to get down to what you're looking for. So this thing is really great. You just roll the top over, and when you do, you have a nice little waterproof bag. It is seam sealed, it's made of Dyneema. And this little guy has been super convenient for me when I'm carrying a lot of my photography stuff around, or if I need an extra battery pack for an extended trip and I want to keep my phone and some other things charged up. And last, I think I've talked about this before, but the battery bag, absolutely must have for me. When I go out and do trip videos, I'm taking my GoPro with me, and it was always so difficult keeping in mind which batteries were charged and which ones were not. Trying to keep them in different pockets and everything just made organization a pain. Ben came up with this great idea where you basically have two compartments, red for dead and green for alive, and you just drop the batteries into whichever side they belong and keep going. So with that bag and my gadget bag, my electronics are completely taken care of. All right, let's move on to hydration and food. I have been a big fan of the Sawyer Squeeze Canuck Vecto bag combination for quite some time, but I did decide to mix it up this year and try the Katadyne system. This is the Katadyne BeFree. It is a wide mouth, soft bottle that you can just fill up in the stream. You attach the filter, and then you can drink right out of it or use this as your filtration system. It has a very high flow rate, and although people have complained that it clogs up faster than the Sawyer, so far I have not clogged it up, so I cannot verify or deny that. Now, the actual bottle that comes with the Katadyne filter is made by Hydrapack, who also makes this really cool 3-liter soft bottle. This thing can collapse down to almost nothing, and yet if you fill it up, you can attach straps to it. You can slide this in a pocket on the side of your backpack, use it for backup dirty water bag, or if you want to drink right out of it, you can get an attachment that turns it into a hydration bladder. I have found this very useful. I love the fact that I can get 3 liters in this thing, and yet it is still very compact. I can put the Katadyne BeFree right on that 3-liter bottle if that is all I'm going to be taking and I want to drink right out of it. Either way, this has been a great lightweight system, and so far it's worked very well for me. It will probably be my filtration system of choice going into 2022. Speaking of food, I had the opportunity to do some fishing on my last trip, and so I got this ultralight frying pan for frying up them fish. I believe Senior Hiker 77 got me going on this one. It's a nice little pan, folds up, has its own little stuff sack, but it's nice and light, cleans up easily, and it was kind of nice to have it on the trail. That time we got some fish. Speaking of food, I do want to give a shout out to some of my favorite new trail snacks. Number 1, the Epic Bison Bar. I actually picked these up for my vintage backpacking trip because I wanted to have something called pemmican, and this was what came up when I looked for it. This is basically a meat bar, but it's chock full of goodness. This is not just a dried out piece of steak. This is a chewy, yummy bar. I am pretty much hooked on these. I would definitely check them out. Also, I'm not sure how to say this, Sahali Snacks, classic fruit and nut trail mix. I don't know what they did to this thing, but it is absolutely delicious. From the very first bite, I knew that I was going to be in trouble. This comes with roasted pistachios, dried cranberries, roasted cashews, dried apples, and whole roasted almonds. It is amazing. So this is going to be my go-to for a while. And last, I want to give a shout out to LMNT. The LMNT salt powder is absolutely phenomenal for keeping you hydrated on the trail. If you're used to Gatorade and that sort of thing, think of that except more salty. LMNT is full of electrolytes, and for me, it's the perfect blend of sweetness and saltiness that keeps me from just guzzling it down because of the sugar, like with Gatorade, but also provides tons of vitamins and electrolytes, and that has been a huge help for me not dehydrating on the trail, which I had quite a bit of trouble with in 2020. You don't have to worry about the mixture because 1 LMNT packet goes into a 1-liter bottle. I don't even have any to show you right now because I have drunk all of them. However, I will put a link in the description. If you haven't tried the LMNT electrolyte powder, I would definitely give it a shot. Okay, finally, let us talk about clothing and footwear. One piece of clothing that I have really been enjoying is the shirt that I am wearing right here. This is the Kitsbow Merino Wool Synthetic Blend hiking shirt that I've been rocking on several hikes. I like it a lot because it pulls the sweat off of my body, it wicks it away, but it also stays surprisingly stink-free for those times where you maybe have to go more than a day or 2 without washing it. So it wicks away the sweat, keeps you feeling good in the heat, and keeps others more comfortable too. In that same vein are the Silverlight hiking socks. Now, even without the silver component, these are very comfortable socks. They are padded and they are stretchy in all the right places, but the silver weave that goes through them is also a natural antibacterial, which keeps these things stink-free for a lot longer than a standard sock. I put these through some pretty rigorous tests, put my family through some pretty rigorous tests, and believe me, these work. Next is the Shemagh. I did a whole video on this, but basically this is one of these big, Middle Eastern kind of pieces of gear that people use to keep themselves comfortable when it is hot. This is also going to be helpful when things are warm. It's a very multi-use piece of gear. It's something like a buff, but it has more and different uses. So this is something that has really become an important part of my kit, especially when it is hot. However, I think in the winter it is also going to be very useful. So if you like the features of a buff, which I do, you might want to also look at carrying one of these Shemaghs. Finally, footwear. Now, in 2019, I made the switch from hiking boots to trail runners, and not just any trail runners, but the ultra zero drop, ultralight trail runners called the Lone Peaks. I tried several other models, but the Lone Peaks ended up really being the only ones that I liked for all of their features. However, when they came out with the 4.5s, I wasn't terribly impressed. Now, I know the 5s have come out. I haven't had a chance to check them out yet because when I didn't like the 4.5s, I also noticed that I was having a little bit of problem with my heel. I wanted something with a little bit more cushion, and where I looked was Topo Athletic. I started off with the Mountain Racers, and I loved them. They did fall apart quite a bit faster than I had expected, especially for their high price. So I then switched to the Topo Ultraventure. These are the Topo Ultraventure 2s, and these have been fantastic. They've got Vibram soles, ultra sticky. They have just the right amount of padding for me. They are lightweight, they are breathable. I've really enjoyed these shoes, and for 2022, this is going to be my main trail hiker, except I'm going to switch over to the Pro version for 2022. The Pros have some features that I think will work out a little bit better on the trail and might work out even better for me on the Camino, which I am replanning for 2023. So I'm going to be giving the Ultraventure 2 Pro versions a shot for 2022. Another thing I'm changing up for footwear in 2022 is I am going back to hiking boots. Now, the primary reason I am going back to boots is that I am going into the winter season here in California, and I am hoping to do some snowshoeing and some more rugged, snowy, icy kind of hikes. And when I'm in those situations, especially up here in the Sierra, I want something a bit more than a trail runner protecting my feet. My Keen Tarhi 2s have been with me for years. I've just pretty much beaten them to death, and this year it was time to get a new set. So I did what any good YouTuber would do, and I got online, I looked up best hiking boots for 2021, and the boots that I saw most often in the list were these Salomon X Ultra 3 GTX. This is a mid-ankle boot. It is Gore-Tex. I like waterproof when it comes to my boots. It's got some serious grip action on the soles. These are very lightweight and reported to be extremely comfortable. I wore them on a 12-mile hike the very first time I put them on. Absolutely no hot spots, no blisters, no slippage whatsoever. So going into 2022, at least during the winter months, I'm going to be rocking the Salomons. Okay, well that is it for this video. That is the new gear that I tried out in 2021 and will be using going forward in 2022. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you are interested in any of this gear, please check the description below. Those links do help the channel out. Until next time, I'm Doug. Thank you for watching.